The dinner rush had just begun at La Estrella, the most popular upscale restaurant in the city. Crystal chandeliers glittered above the packed dining room, and soft Spanish guitar music floated in the air. Mia, the youngest waitress on staff, tightened her apron and took a deep breath. It was her first week, and she was trying desperately to keep up with the pace. She balanced a tray of glasses with steady hands, weaving through the tables with a practiced smile. Most customers were kind, offering small words of encouragement when they saw how new she was. But then the door opened, and everything changed. A tall man in an immaculate suit walked in, his presence commanding instant attention. The staff exchanged glances. They recognized him. Alejandro Cruz, a billionaire businessman known for owning half the luxury hotels in the region, and for his legendary temper. Mia swallowed hard. She had heard stories about him, rude, impatient, and always convinced he was above everyone else. Still, she approached him with her usual polite tone. "Good evening, sir. Table for one?" Alejandro gave her a slow, judging sweep with his eyes, from her simple uniform to her worn-out shoes. Then he smirked. "Claro, pero por lo menos mándame a alguien que hable bien, y mater than his breath." Mia blinked. She understood every word. He had said, "Sure, but at least send someone who speaks properly." She kept her professional smile, pretending not to react. "Right this way, sir," she said, leading him to a corner table. As she handed him the menu, he muttered again in Spanish, louder this time so the nearby diners heard. "Probablemente no entiende nada. Solo es una mesera cualquiera." She probably doesn't understand anything, she's just a waitress. A few customers glanced at Mia with sympathy, but she continued working with calm dignity. Inside, her chest tightened. Not because he insulted her, she was used to rude customers, but because he assumed she was uneducated, incapable, beneath him. When she returned to take his order, Alejandro didn't bother looking at her. "I'll have the house special," he said dismissively. Mia nodded, then placed the menu down firmly. She looked straight into his eyes and said in flawless Spanish, "¿Algo más, señor? Puedo recomendarle el vino si desea. Y sí, entiendo todo lo que ha dicho desde que entró." Alejandro froze. His fork slipped from his hand. The entire room seemed to go silent. Alejandro stared at Mia as if she had just spoken a forbidden spell. His eyebrows shot up, his mouth parted slightly, and for the first time since he walked in, the arrogance on his face cracked. "You speak Spanish?" he stammered, switching languages awkwardly. Mia kept her expression calm, professional, but her voice carried a quiet strength. "Yes, sir. Fluently. My mother is Mexican, my father is American. I grew up speaking both languages." A few nearby customers smiled with satisfaction. They had witnessed the exchange, and now the once intimidating billionaire looked like a schoolboy caught misbehaving. Alejandro cleared his throat, suddenly very aware of how many people had heard him. He tugged lightly at his cufflinks, searching for a shred of dignity. "Well, I see," he muttered. Mia nodded politely. "Would you like to order the wine I mentioned?" He blinked. Yes, please, whatever you recommend." She wrote it down and walked away, her steps steady, though her heart fluttered with adrenaline. She hadn't meant to humiliate him. She simply refused to let anyone speak to her like she was invisible. It wasn't anger. It was self-respect. In the kitchen, the staff buzzed. "You told him? In perfect Spanish?" "Finally, someone shut him up!" Mia laughed softly but tried not to think about it too much. Billionaires didn't like being embarrassed, even if they deserved it. She braced herself for the possibility that he might complain to the manager. But when she returned to his table with the wine, something unexpected happened. Alejandro stood, not arrogantly, but respectfully. "Mia," he said, reading her name tag carefully. "May I apologize?" The entire room stilled again. Mia hesitated. "You want to apologize?" He nodded, and the confidence he once had seemed replaced by something unfamiliar. Humility. "I judged you unfairly. That was wrong. I'm not proud of it." Mia felt the sincerity in his voice. He wasn't performing. He truly meant it. "Thank you, sir," she replied quietly. "I accept your apology." He exhaled with relief, then added, "Would you sit for a moment? I'd like to ask you something. About your language skills." Mia blinked in surprise. "Is everything okay?" Alejandro nodded. Yes, in fact, I think you might be the person I've been searching for. Before she could respond, he reached into his briefcase and pulled out a contract. Mia stared at the contract in Alejandro's hands, unsure whether this was some kind of test or another trick of power. He placed the document gently on the table, his eyes earnest, no longer clouded by arrogance or ego. I've been searching for someone bilingual, he explained softly. Someone who understands both cultures. Someone who doesn't get intimidated by strong personalities. He gave a small apologetic smile. Clearly, you're not easily intimidated. Mia didn't sit. She stayed standing beside the table, hands clasped tightly, unsure what to make of this sudden shift. What exactly is this contract for? She asked, cautious. My company is opening a branch in Mexico City, he said. We need a liaison who can communicate with the local partners, translate documents, and oversee customer relations. It's an important role. He paused. I've interviewed over 30 candidates. None impressed me the way you did. Mia blinked. Sir, I'm just a waitress. Alejandro shook his head. No. You're someone who handled disrespect with dignity, someone who didn't crumble under pressure. That's leadership. Around them, customers pretended not to listen, but every ear leaned closer. Mia felt her heart beating faster. A job in another country? A professional position? A chance to step out of the struggles she had lived in since her father passed away? Why me? She whispered finally. Alejandro leaned forward. Because people who know what it's like to be talked down to are the ones who treat others with respect when they are in power. The words struck her deeply. She thought of her mother working double shifts. She thought of the bills piled at home. She thought of all the years she felt stuck, waiting tables, hoping for a break that never came. And suddenly the break was standing right in front of her. Alejandro gently slid the contract toward her. The position is full-time, housing included, travel covered, salary, well above anything this restaurant could ever offer. Mia's breath caught in her throat. I don't need an answer right now, he said softly. Just read it. For the first time since the conversation began, Mia pulled out the chair and sat down. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. When she reached the last page, she looked up with tears in her eyes. Why did you speak like that to me earlier? She asked. Alejandro lowered his gaze. Because sometimes wealth makes you forget what humility feels like until someone reminds you. Mia gave a small emotional smile, the kind born from pain, pride, and hope all at once. Maybe, she whispered, this is the reminder you needed. He nodded. And maybe, you're the change my company needs.